Hey everyone, this is Aaron from MTGChallengers, and welcome to the highlights of Game 2 of the match between Evan playing Dimir Control and me playing Temur Energy. Evan was on the play and led off with a swamp. I played a Botanical Sanctum and passed it back. Evan laid down a Drowned Catacomb and I put a second Sanctum into play. I then cast a Long Tusk Cub, but Evan countered it with an Essence Scatter. Evan just dropped an Evolving Wilds and passed his turn. I laid down a Forest and resolved a Rogue Refiner, drawing a card and getting 2 energy counters. At the end of my turn, Evan cracked his Wilds to search up an island and put it into play tapped. He then cycled a Hieroglyphic Illumination, drawing a card. For his turn, he played a Submerged Boneyard and cast a Search for Escanta. I dropped a Spirebluff Canal, which came into play tapped since I already controlled 3 lands. I then attacked Evan for 3 with my Refiner, taking him to 17. After combat, I destroyed his Search for Escanta with an Appetite for the Unnatural and gained 2 life. Evan cycled another Illumination at the end of my turn. He laid down a second island and cast a Gifted Aetherborn. I put an Aether Hub into play, adding another energy to my reserve, and swung with my Refiner again. Evan chose to trade with his Aetherborn, going back up to 19 from the lifelink. In main phase 2, I resolved another Refiner, drawing a card and going up to 5 energy counters. Evan just drew and passed it back. I played a Mountain and took Evan to 16 with my Refiner. I attempted to resolve a Whirler Virtuoso in post-combat, but Evan countered it with another Essence Scatter. For his next turn, Evan just cycled another Illumination. I played a third Sanctum and hit for 3 again, taking Evan to 13. Evan drew and resolved a second Search for Escanta, so at the end of his turn, I flashed in a Torrential Gearhulk and cast the Appetite for the Unnatural in my graveyard, destroying the Search and gaining 2 more life, going up to 24. Evan responded by fatally pushing my Refiner. I swung with the Gearhulk for 5 on my next turn, taking Evan down to 8, and cast an Attune with Aether to search my library for a mountain, put it into my hand, and get 2 more energy counters. Evan just drew and passed it back. At my upkeep, he cast a Vraska's Contempt, exiling my Gearhulk and going up to 10 life. I cast a second Whirler Virtuoso, which resolved this time, getting 3 more energy. Evan finally got a 6th land in the form of a swamp. At the end of his turn, I paid 9 of my energy counters to create 3 1/1 Flying Thopters. Evan responded by flashing in a Gearhulk of his own and exiling my Virtuoso with the Contempt in his graveyard and gained 2 life. I flew over with my Thopters for 3 on my next turn, taking him back down to 9. He was tapped out, so I took the opportunity to resolve a Bristling Hydra, getting 3 energy counters. Evan just drew and passed it back. At my upkeep, he killed one of my tokens with another Fatal Push. I played a second Aether Hub, gaining an energy, and hit Evan for 2 with my Thopters. At the end of my turn, he flashed in another Gearhulk and took another Thopter out with a Fatal Push. He swung with both Gearhulks for 10. I chose to take the damage, going to 14. In post-combat, he cast another Gifted Aetherborn, but I countered it with an Essence Scatter. I top-decked an island, so I just swung out with my team for 5, dropping Evan to 2 life. Evan hit me for 5 with one of his Gearhulks on his next turn. He then killed my last Thopter with an Essence Extraction, gaining 3 life. I just put a Rootbound Crag into play and passed it back. Evan swung with his Gearhulks. I chumped one with my Hydra and took the other 5, going down to 4. I top-decked my 3rd land in a row, so I scooped, giving Evan the win and taking us to Game 3. And that is it for this game. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more, check out my highlights playlist. To see the lists for these decks, check out the deck techs. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, subscribe to the channel for more Magic the Gathering content.